But what this guy had set in his mind is that the water was the only way that he was ever going to walk again. Christ didn't set him free physically, he set him free cognitively. He said, listen, the water is not the only way. The power in the water comes from a different place, buddy, and I am that place. You've got to learn that the water is just water. You've got to know who you're talking to. And this man believed and began to walk and began to go from place to place telling of who Jesus was, but he had to change his pattern of thought, the way in which he lived, and believed that it wasn't just about the water, that God was the one who could set him free in ways that he had never thought of or experienced before. He had fenced God into a small pool. I think we do that too, that we just say, hey, this is the pocket in which God works, in which if we would really just open up, read his word, and transform our mind into who he wants us to be, and not put limits on God, we would see movements of the Lord in which we have never seen before. Amen. It's going to take some unlearning, though. Because for years we've been told what he can and can't do and how he does and doesn't work. I'm here to tell you I'm a pastor. I've got a lot of education. I study a lot, and I don't know how God works all the time. I don't. It amazes me each and every day and each and every week. I can pinpoint a few things, but I learn all the time. And I unlearn all the time of what I thought was possible. And then new levels are attained and reached and sought after and being chased, and I see God continually moving and moving and moving. On Friday, I've told you guys before, I'm kind of officing in different places, and I was at Carl's Jr. because of cinnamon raisin biscuits, and I did like don't laugh, they're delicious. I was there for like 3 hours doing a marriage kind of counseling deal, and I walked in, and there's this employee, her name's Brittany, she kind of knows me now, we're talking, and she's really nice. I order a small Coke, and she puts out like this jug, and I'm like, oh, and so, I mean, she's just really, really cool. So I'm sitting there, and I'm counseling with this couple for like 3 hours, and she's watching me from afar, and just kind of talking, and talked to me before and said, I'm going to pray for you. She actually committed to like tithe to it. She can't attend here. She works on Sundays, but she likes what we're doing and sees us all the time, and just a cool story. But anyways, we're sitting here, the counseling thing's over, and I'm about to leave, and it's lunch rush, and it's crazy, and I see someone I know, I'm kind of talking, and she sees me walking out, and she goes, "Preacher man! Preacher man!" And I'm like, I'm guessing that's me. I don't know if there's a lot of it, I'm waiting for other, like, hey Brittany, everybody, people are like, this guy has a church in Hillsdale on Sundays. You need to go to his church. Preacher man, have a good day. She's never even been here. She really doesn't know me. She sees me in there with Adrian or with Scott or with Ray and with computers and working on stuff and doing things. She doesn't know. She knows about God, what God can do. And I'm sitting here thinking, how can we get the word out about One Church? We do mailers and bulletins, or do I just go to a place and order a Coke and here's a lady yelling it out to everybody? You just don't know. You just don't know. Romans 12, verse 2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Tons of unlearning with Jesus. You always heard him say the statements, you have heard it said, but I tell you. You have heard it said, but I tell you. A lot of stuff Jesus was rewiring in the minds of the people who followed him. So many things, guys, you need to just realize that fear is so small in your hearts and in your mind and your heart that God is bigger than the fear you're facing. Like I said before, it's either faith or fear. One of them is going to win out. And I pray that the things you are learning here and being taught here and at home with yourself in there, that you would learn that fear has no hold in your life and in your heart. The third chase point. One of the greatest things that could happen to you is for your fear to become reality. then you would discover it's not the end of the world. Then you would become more reliant on God. Put down a few things here. Roller coasters, river rafting, the high dive, the water slide, hide and seek, leaving for college, walking down the aisle, having children, changing jobs, being diagnosed with disease. So many of us have had those types of things hit us upside the head in our lives. And we look at them as hindrances and fears and a crutch, instead of a moment in which God could do something amazing. Your worst fear isn't that your worst fear will show up on your doorstep. Your worst fear is that you would live this entire life in a safe, secure little place and never see God work in miraculous ways. That you would read this book day in, day out, month in, month out, and hear these stories and see these miracles, yet never experience one for yourself. That is my greatest fear. That I would not be the person God wants me to be. In Daniel 3, you see this example of 3 young men in a very, very tough environment. One in which they are told what to worship and told what to bow down to. And the king of this culture says, I've built this statue, and every day at this time, everyone will bow. And there are 3 guys named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Young men. And they choose not to bow. And because of this choice, are now brought before the king for punishment. And their punishment is death by fire. That they would be thrown into a furnace that is so hot that the people who usually throw the people in die because of the heat. And this is their next step. This is their next journey. And I love what they say in Daniel 3, verses 17 and 18, right before the barbecue. Right before they get thrown in, they say this: if we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. Way to be respectful as you just put him down. So, good guys. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up. I don't know of a bigger fear than that, death facing you, right there. It's there. Your sentence. It's the king, all powerful, telling you what the next step is, and you say, it doesn't really matter. We follow a God that will save us, but even if he doesn't, we're still following God. We are still following God. Here's the goal that I want to get through you guys today. Don't live in a way that eliminates fear, but muster up the moral courage of the faith to chase lions. And I want to give you the last couple verses to help you with this. Because if you ever feel you're alone, and if you ever feel that you're going through this fearful situation and circumstance by yourself, some of the last statements of Jesus as he was ascending, as he was going, Matthew 28:20, be sure of this: I am with you always, even to the end of the age. He is in the pit with you. He is in the pool waiting on you. He is talking to you and giving you opportunity